nigga turn it back up. What up, guys? It's your girl Candy J with another episode of Candyology. I've missed you. I do apologize for reposting a show last week, but you know, people had to take care of themselves. Self-care is everything. So, I'll keep you posted on when we will have that show that I posted, guys. So tonight I really have a good treat for you. However, you can follow me on YouTube at Candyology Radio if you've missed any of the episodes. On all different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, I am Candyology CS. Again, that's Candyology CS. It'll flash back on the screen at the end, guys. So, listen. I've done a lot of things this weekend, and last weekend. However, the couple of things that I want to focus on is the fact that I got the opportunity to speak at Planned Parenthood, guys. I was talking about exploring your sexuality in a healthy way. Oh my goodness, we had so much fun. If you know me, you know my passion is for education and sexual wellness education, and just being able to express yourself in a healthy manner. So we talked about, on that picture you saw that there was a slide up there saying, let porn be a reference and not a guide. And we had a riveting conversation about that. That was just a small portion of what we were talking about. We were talking about how, you know, so many people have watched porn and that's all they know. That's what they think their sexual narrative should be. You know, our sexual narrative is based upon our experiences, what we see through all of our different gates. And so we were having a conversation about, should we do this fast? Should we do this slow? Should we be in the shower? Should we be on the bed? Should we be outside on the pool? Like, you know, some of these experiences that you would like to have, but they're not the basis of what sex should be. So, everyone is different, guys. So, you have to figure out what that particular person likes, what you like, and you can't tell somebody else what you like unless you have explored yourself. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. Okay. So, with that said, I am holding some Black Friday specials for Candyology coaching services. Relationship coaching is $75, sex coaching is $100, life coaching is $50, and marriage and workshops is $150. You can see the value on the screen, and I'm giving things away for a steal. But the reason I'm participating in the Black Friday is because I realize that everybody cannot afford coaching or therapy. And so, offering it at a discounted rate, I want you to get the help that you need and empowerment that you need. And the prices are good until 12/7. So whatever price I lock you in at before 12/7 will be the price that you get for the entire time that you're coaching. Whether you come back to me one time or 20 times, that will be your price, and I'll lock you in. So that's the treat in that, right? I have have a wonderful show for you. This lady I met at one of Dia Direct's self-power, self-care summit that I went to. If you watch the show regularly, you know I went to that maybe a month or so ago, and we had some awesome and riveting ladies here, and I met her, and I'm so happy that I met her. Her name is Nadia Smith. Oh my gosh. And she a little crazy, so just get ready. You know, if you're used to me being crazy, then you'll have fun with her as well. Yes, you're in for a treat. So we are talking about love and breast cancer when we come back on Power Play Radio Network.
Here at Parties to You Texas, we specialize in creating not just an event, but a lasting memory. We are sure that you'll find something that fits your fancy at affordable prices. We offer pony rides, face painting, balloon twisting, and trackless trains, characters, and so much more. Need a bundle deal? No problem. Give us a call today at 877-PARTY07. Reserve 24 hours a day on...
Hey guys, it's your girl Candy J. You're watching Candyology on Power Play Radio Network. So, we talked about a few things that I did last week, but in 2 weeks, guys, I'm going to this pop-up shop that I will be a vendor at. Not for the Candyology side, I will be representing for Bedroom Candy. Come out and support all of the local businesses. They're all small business. We had Small Business Saturday yesterday. So come back out and talk to us and get, we spend that money. You're going to spend it anyway. So we're at the Vizon Event Center. All right, so you notice that someone has joined me.
Hey, girl.
What's up? How you doing? Who you be? Tell them a little bit about yourself, child.
Well, hey, girl. Hey, I am Nadia Smith. So happy to be here today. We're going to pour a little tea today, but we'll get the intro and all that good stuff out of the way. So I'm here to talk about breast cancer, relationships, and some other stuff, too. We'll get to a little later. But I am a breast cancer survivor. I like to say thriver now. I have made it to thriver level, so living my best again. So 3 years cancer free. So diagnosed in 2016, found through a self-breast exam. So we'll talk about my journey a little bit later, but just to speed through it, was diagnosed early, 33 years old, no family history of breast cancer, fairly healthy, diagnosed 6 days after.
Hold on. Let's say it again. No family history.
No family history. I was living a very healthy lifestyle during the time that I was diagnosed. I was training. I'm an athlete. I'm a runner. And I was diagnosed 6 days after running my personal best in a half marathon.
Shut the fuck up.
So it was living in me, but it wasn't consuming my body. I wasn't ill. I didn't feel anything other than the lump that I was checking on. So in my world, I was healthy. I was snatched. I was, slim. I'm just put it out there.
Snatched.
Right, I was real snatched. Their body fat was low. I spandex, all the time. So I was like, who, what? I went Cardi B. You gonna do what for who? Like, ma'am, no, you're not talking about me, not me. But yeah, I mean, definitely a shock, to me and to my family. But you have to figure out how to keep it going, like how to live out loud after the diagnosis. So that's what we're talking about: living out loud, living behind doors, living under covers. So that's what we're gonna get into. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Wait, hold on.
For the tea, I'm giving the tea. I'm here to bring it.
I told you.
I mean, y'all want to know?
Let's get some formalities out. I think, didn't you say your birthday was in like 4 days?
Go Sagittarius. Didn't you
say?
Well, actually, wait. No, we got 3 days. 3 days. Because the 4th on Wednesday, it's the holiday one. It's not yet, but it's going to be official.
Don't we have a slide for her? Don't we have a slide for her? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Oh, y'all, it's going to be a long hour. It's going to be a long hour. Y'all ain't ready for this.
It's Sagittarius. I was in love with the Sagittarius.
We like to nurture.
Oh, God. No, he was crazy.
But
I love him, though.
But he liked to nurture. You didn't want to admit it.
Something like that.
He liked to take care. He liked to take care of you.
In all ways. He sure did. But this is not about me today. So, we have a couple statistics because we're gonna get into the tea. But we have a couple statistics. So, 1 in 8 women who live to be age 70 will develop breast cancer in her lifetime. That's crazy. That is crazy. I mean, can you think about it? You count down the street. There's 8 women, and one of them is going to
You count a line at Walmart, at Target. You count. So when you in that line, when you Christmas shopping, and one out of 8 of those
Black
women,
shopping.
right? 1 out of 8. Maybe they may be diagnosed. They may not be diagnosed.
They may not even know anything about it. Oh my God. And then there's the other statistics that says more than 3.1 million people living in the U.S. are breast cancer survivor. Hello?
Which means what? There is life after diagnosis.
And that's what we're talking about.
That's, yeah.
Okay. So let's get some of the tea. First of all, you said you were fit, right? And so, were you dating somebody at the time that you diagnosed?
I was in the streets. No.
Was you in the streets? And I was living your best life, girl. Oh, okay.
My best, but we'll talk. So when it happened. So no, I wasn't in a relationship then, but shortly after I reconnected through a mutual friend. So I think your ex should know about this. We ended on real good terms. I think he should know about this. So that blossomed into a relationship that took me through treatment. And then after treatment, I realized this ain't really what I want. Rewind.
Okay, so y'all ended on good terms.
Yeah, right. This was way before the diagnosis. We ended on good terms. This is life, being adults. You gotta work, I gotta work. Work took us in different places. Okay. That's what it is. You make your money, love your lots, be safe. Yeah.
Oh Lord. And see, Sagittarius are savages too.
Yeah.
You see what that verbiage that she said. Okay, so how long had it been since y'all were in a relationship?
I would say it had been about at least 3 years.
Okay.
But we were friends, so keep in mind, so I'll give you a little background of that situation. We worked together. So we had a great working relationship. So we knew when to turn on and off. So the work didn't come into the house. So that wasn't, it wasn't crazy. So we still worked together even after our relationship. So he moved away to take care of a family member that was ill at the time, and then career took me back and forth from Mississippi to Texas. So it kind of ended, but we were still in touch. Like, we were still cool, and our mutual friend was like, you know what? I think that he should know what's going on.
So was he living in Texas at the time?
He was not.
Oh.
So he was not. So it went from 0 to 100 real quick.
So, okay, so let's rewind for 5.2 seconds. So you got self-exam, then you went to the doctor, found out you had breast cancer. Then what happened after that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as far as your diagnosis and treatment?
So, as far as diagnosis and treatment, so let's rewind a little bit more to that finding a lump and fighting for a mammogram. Because keep in mind, I'm 33 years old. So they don't just walk around saying, "Oh yeah, you go get a mammogram." No, it's not a medical need for me at 33 years old. So we had a fight. I had an all-out fight with my insurance company for this mammogram. I said, no, something's not right. So we finally went to the mammogram, and it came back inconclusive. So to say like, oh, there's an area, but we really don't know what this is. Let's come back in 6 months. By then, that was my second mammogram. I said, see, no, we can't do this. So I went back to my gynecologist. I said, I need a referral. I had a choice. Either I wait 6 months or I get a referral to a breast surgeon, and we're going to do a biopsy to see what this thing really is. So that's the route that we took. So it wasn't as easy as, oh, yeah, I'm going to get scheduled for a mammogram and I show up. Like, no, I'm going to get a referral for a mammogram. I'm going to submit it to the insurance company. And then once it's approved, then I'll go get a mammogram. And we get something. I mean, I had a great, radiologist, and we did a mammogram, we did the ultrasound, and we saw this area with no clear defined margin. So she's like, this isn't what cancer typically looks like. So let's come back in 6 months. But then, so listen to your body. As an athlete, I was well in tune with when things are off. So it's like, no, I need to know. Like, no, that's not enough for me. So I had to be my own advocate. Nobody was saying, no, she needs to do this. She needs to do that. I had to press to get some things done. So I went to a breast surgeon, Dr. Terry McLaughlin, which is here. She's here in the Dallas area. And she said, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with saying come back in 6 months. So I had a choice to have a minor surgery to do the biopsy. And that's when we found it. So this was I received the call the day after Easter. So we talked about it. She knew that beside all this crazy, I love the Lord a whole lot. So, and he has to love me a whole lot. Let me tell you something. But his grace is sufficient.
Come on now. Oh, okay. Let me stop.
But so she knew, like Easter is a big that's my holiday. So Easter is my holiday. So she called me, but she had to wait a few days. I think she actually found out on maybe Good Friday, but she called me on that Monday. So I immediately went into superwoman mode. Like, I got this. Like, let me check this cancer thing out the box. I ain't got time for this. I got to do this, this, and this, this, and this before I turn 40. Right. Back to my to-do list. So I was actively dating, but I wasn't in a relationship. So, talking to some people that I confided in, I'm like, oh, I think, well, maybe you should think about support in that, in that way. And it wasn't a big deal for me to reach out to my ex, and slowly the conversation happened.
So was it after the first time or the second, like you actually had gotten diagnosed?
I was actually diagnosed.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like how long after you got diagnosed did you reach out? Or did they suggest that you should reach out?
I think it was maybe like a few months. Like I did a few months of processing. I had it was a whirlwind. I had to call this number, this doctor's appointment. And so when it finally, it never to me, I would say it was 2 years later before it hit me what happened. So at this time, I'm just in go mode. Like I'm grinding. I'm at work every day. Everything is, to the, the usual for me. So I said, okay, well, I'll call him. She's on me, like, call him and, just talk about it. So, we were friends. We had no reason, it wasn't like an awkward conversation. We just had to catch up real quick. Right? So, we had to catch up real quick. And then the distance, Mississippi is still home for me. So my parents are there. So with him being there, it wasn't awkward that he was in Mississippi, and now I was in Texas when I was diagnosed. So, things kind of rekindled. We became, an item.
Did he move here?
He did not.
Oh.
So he did not move here. So it was distant. He went back and forth. So when we ended, there were some job interviews that had taken place. There was a ring purchase by the time.
What? Hold on. So you said when you ended, but how did we get to this point where, because you skipped a whole bunch of that story.
So wait a minute. It was good when it was good. So keep in mind, I'll tell you me, like, I'm very outspoken. You know what I like and what I don't like. But at this phase of my life, it was so much that I was sorting through. I wasn't being vocal about what was making me happy, what I like. We talked about this a little earlier. I wasn't being vocal about what I liked and what I didn't like. And, you know, your ex is always an ex for a reason. And that communication and emotional maturity was what separated us the first time. So you think about somebody that wasn't emotionally mature for a relationship I wanted at that time with no serious illness. And now I have a still serious illness. And I need you to support me on a whole nother level.
Man.
And you can't, you know, we boss up. You know, we women, we boss up. We do what we have to do. We go to work every day. Everything is, you saw me in the street and you didn't know what was going on. We have the superpower, I say. We have the superpower to do that. But at the end of the day, when you come home, of course, he wasn't with me every day, but you want to have that person that you know can support you. And although he was a great person, hence the fact that we were still friends long after our relationship, he wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle what I was going through. And I was getting to the point where I was exhausted, and it was that tug of war, because you care about somebody and you understand the potential of how good they could be, but I wasn't getting what I needed. And I had this on my plate, and I didn't want to come home and deal with this, you know, this too. And at the same time, I didn't want to suppress what I was going through so you can feel okay.
Right.
Because you can't handle what I'm going through.
Which is something that women do a lot.
Right. So now I got my cape is on all day, every day. My cape is on at work. I got to keep my cape on when I come home because he can't deal with how I'm feeling. And if the person's not emotionally mature, they don't know when to just say, I don't understand, but I'm here.
Right.
So I was lacking the support that I felt I should have had from a mate. You know, I had it in friends. I had it, you know, in family, but I didn't have it in the mate, and it became where it was exhausting. It was a second job. Because I need to coach you. I have to tell you how to support me while I go to doctor's appointments, you know, while I'm in radiation therapy every day at lunch.
So... But I also heard you say that you weren't vocal in that manner, right?
At the beginning.
Weren't telling him.
At the beginning.
Just at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I was just kind of, you know, like, I'm happy because you're in that place where, like, I don't know what I've seen what it's done to my body at certain, you know, I've had a couple of surgeries then, so, you know, physically you're like, oh my goodness, like, I don't know how this is going to end up. You want to have somebody.
Right.
You know, like, so.
And wait, hold on. You also said that there was a ring involved.
So
when did that happen?
So the ring never made it to my finger, because I'll say when I'm ready and I'm a Sagittarius, so I'll give you chance after chance after chance. So when I say I'm done, I'm done. It wasn't like, oh, let me throw the keys and throw the phone. It wasn't one of those.
Behavior,
right. It wasn't. We were still real grown at that. But when I got to the point where I kept expressing this isn't what I need and I'm not happy, things were done almost out of obligation. Not out of love, and I put it that way, you know, like, you love me, but are you doing things because you're in love with me, or do you feel like there's an obligation to me because you don't want to walk away from me right now? And you can feel that, you know, I can feel that do you really care? You know, because if you cared, we wouldn't have this conversation, because you can't teach a person how to love. You don't, you know, you can coach a person how to love, but they have to come from an environment of love to understand what love truly is. Right. So I can't tell you, if you love me, you do this, and if you love me, you do this. Like, no, I don't want to give you a to-do list. Like, I do that, you know, to clients at work every day. That's what I do every day as a project manager. You know, I don't want to give you a to-do list. I just want to know that I'm in a safe place, and I didn't feel that way. I felt like I had to protect me, and, you know, like, at all times, because you couldn't handle what I was going through emotionally. And there's another aspect to that. We talked about me and my faith. When you're with somebody, and I don't judge anybody because people are at different levels in their faith, but when you're with somebody, you need to know that they can cover you.
Come on.
So
hallelujah.
So you know, so that was the other issue. We're gonna take away all the physical, you know, and the treatments and things like that. There were times where I can't tell you what's going on with me because I'm just spiritually weak and exhausted. So I don't need to have to stay up all night to explain to you what happened all day. I just need you to pray for me and let me go to sleep. You know, like, you know, we're going to touch and agree, whatever you want to do. If you're going to pray for me while I'm asleep, if you want me to hold hands, I just need to know that when I go to sleep, I'm covered.
Or sit
when,
in the corner
you know,
and be praying all night for
whatever you need to do. And if I get crazy, if you got to walk to the kitchen, say that prayer, and come back to see if my attitude adjustment has happened, whatever you need to do, take it to him in the closet.
But let me ask you this: the way you're expressing this to me, did you express that to him? Okay.
And we talked about, because like I did say, there was a ring toward the end, so we were having those discussions about marriage and family. But that's a part to me, you know. Like, I want to feel like my life partner, I don't say husband, but my life partner needs to understand why my faith is so important, and they need to understand that's the reason why I handle things the way I do. So if you're dealing with a person that needs logical evidence of everything that you feel, everything that you experience, that's a everyday battle when you tell them that I'm okay. Like, I've let it go. I've released that. I'm okay with that. What's next? You know, they don't understand that when you have that peace and you've given it to God, like when I've cast it. I had to cast it from day one in order to be where I am now. So when you're dealing with a person that doesn't understand what faith in action is, like you have it's not a fight, because that's something I can't fight with you about it. Like, that's the internal thing. Like, all I can do is pray that you get to that point. But at the same time, that's what I desire.
Right.
Like, those were desires that's given to me, like a husband of that faith. Period. Like, I can't change, you know, I can't change that. I don't want to change. I don't want to change that. And I'm not saying you're a bad person, because somebody's going to meet you where you are and you will grow with them.
Right.
And that's fine. But that's not where I was. And then when you hit me with breast cancer, my faith had to go in full gear. And you got to catch up, because the only way I'm going to get through this thing is if I lean on my faith. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense.
Can you tell she been in church
Just a little bit. I was crazy.
I mean,
just a little bit.
Lord. and wait, how long have you been going to OCC Louisville?
It's been about 5 years. I started my first year in Plano at one community church and moved on over to the Louisville campus, which is where you'll find me most Sundays. I hit up Plano today, but you know, I bounce around, but you know, you'll see me. I wear a name tag every once in a while. Guess who serves in the ministry? So you will see me, and I'm usually talking because I'm in guest services and membership. So that's what I do. I talk to the people all day when I'm there on campus. But yeah, so I found my spiritual home and my church family here in Dallas as well. So when I left Mississippi with him, I still had that support. So he, you know, when you're with somebody and they just don't get it, you know, like it's that one thing they don't get, and with that one thing being the most important thing at that time in my life. You know, it's like you can't.
That's the 80-20 rule, though. I mean, that would.
And I mean, it's a whole list. It's a whole list of things. I need you to be a provider. You know, it's the whole list of things. You know that he made it plain. You know, when he said what we desire in a husband. But to some of them, I couldn't change that desire, and that was something that I had from my faith, from believing that that's what I deserved and that's what was promised to me. And again, can't say that he's a bad person. I will never say that. Wonderful man, but we weren't in the same place. And when that diagnosis came, I had to kick it. You know, I had to kick my faith in full gear, and I needed you to come with me.
So a lot of people, you know, there's all kinds of different ways that they deal with breast cancer, right? Mm-hmm. And so did you have to have your breast removed?
I did. So shortly after diagnosis, very shortly, so I was diagnosed March 28, 2016, and on May the 26th, 2016.
That's my birthday.
That is one of my bestie's birthdays as well.
Aries Nation. Okay, I'm sorry.
But hey, it's a celebrate because I rolled in one way and rolled out another, but I was still alive. So we're gonna celebrate every victory. But I did have both of my breasts removed, so I had a bilateral mastectomy, which is double mastectomy, same thing. So both of my breasts were removed, so all of my breast tissue, and for me, my nipples were removed as well because I was diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ, so that means that it was within the ducts of my breast, so they were removed. So we'll talk about it only in one side, so we're only talking about my left breast. So the cancer was found in my left breast. It started with a little pea-sized thing, about 2 centimeters. By the time we had that surgery, it was a 7 centimeter in radius, which means that was almost my entire left breast. And it was a grade 3, so very aggressive, although within my ducts it was still very aggressive. So we had to come up with a plan that I agreed to. So we'll talk about what I rejected and what I accepted later, but we had to come up with a plan together that would kind of attack this thing, so I can in some ways put this behind me. There were certain things that I didn't want. I did not have chemotherapy, so I did have radiation. And with ductal carcinoma, these are early stages, so it's considered stage 0, so most people wouldn't have radiation. But the fact that we went from a 2 centimeter P to a 7 centimeter radius within, so that means like in that short period of time, my entire left breast was being attacked.
Wow.
And that's me. We talked about my lifestyle, with the eating healthy and things like that. But there was one thing that I did that slowed it down, and I didn't know. I was doing it because I was training and I wanted to kind of level set my body. I stopped taking birth control. And so I only stopped taking it just because, like, okay, I'm gonna detox my body. We're gonna start the clean palate. But I stopped at the beginning of that year. So I stopped in that January that I was diagnosed, and my diagnosis was estrogen positive, was progesterone positive. So that means that hormone therapy would have been feeding what was already in my body.
Hold that thought. We got to take a quick break, and the story's getting good, y'all.
We hadn't even got to the real good stuff.
The real good stuff
is coming
after this short little break on Power Play Radio Network. We'll be right back. Hey, you with your girl Candy J. Oh, I don't know why I'm fixing this hair like that. It's just, anyway. Watching Candyology on Play Radio Network. We've been talking to my girl Nadia about this breast cancer, and we're about to get to the nitty-gritty, but I just wanted to wrap up what we was talking about, child. So, 7 centimeters in the ducts. You had your breast removed, and then what happened?
Okay, so we had the breast removed. We went through 25 rounds of radiation. The option for chemo and chemotherapy, which means that you can take a pill for 5 to 7 years. I'm a statistics girl. That's what I do. That's what I study. So I said, give me the numbers. They didn't make sense, so I said no. And that's the thing. You have an option. You own your body. So your doctors and your physicians, they recommend. That's their gift. They recommend what they feel you should have. But at the end of the day, you own your body. So I had a list of side effects. I'm a nerd, so I researched. Give me the medicine. Give me statistics. Let me make my educated and informed decision. And my decision for chemo, which was like tamoxifen, or there's some others, was a no. So I did go through the 25 rounds of radiation with my cape on. Did it at lunch. 25 minutes for 25.
Girl, you are a trooper.
But that's we feel like nobody needs to know.
Right.
So we'll talk about that. That's the thing where, why can't we express our vulnerability? No, nobody needs to know what I'm going through.
We're taught to be strong black women.
Right.
That's what, girl, don't get me on.
So, see how we keep going? I just said we'll talk about that another time. We'll talk about what's wrong with black women being comfortable with being vulnerable. That's a whole nother, that's another topic, and that's why we have some of the diseases that we have, which is like we talk about heart disease within black women. But that's one of the reasons why we carry a lot of stress and we carry a lot of burden on ourselves because we don't feel like we should ask for help. But back to what we were talking about. So had them both removed. We went through 25 rounds of radiation. So at the time of the bilateral mastectomy, they inserted something called like a tissue expander. So in the event that after treatment I wanted to have breast, I still had that choice. If I want to have breast, then we could go through it with breast reconstruction.
You know how I know about tissue expanders, girl? Because I watch Botch. Have you ever watched Botch before?
And Botch was scary, y'all. It don't always go that way.
I love that show. But no.
I did not have that experience. Like when I got some good ones. I got some good ones.
And wait, didn't you say something about tattoos for the nipples?
Yeah, so I did it out. I got the works. Once insurance approved it, I got the works. So I had the breast reconstruction, which means that after we finished treatment, they expand those tissue expanders with saline, and they were ready for my breast. So I had the implant swapped. And that was probably like a year and a half later. So it took some time for your skin to heal and for my body to be in a place where I could physically take, like another surgery. So did that, but I did run a half marathon 6 months after my bilateral mastectomy. So my doctor said, I don't know. I said, I keep everybody on speed dial. I call you if I need you. But my goal was
wearing that tape again.
Right, my goal was I was gonna make it through this race, not at my best time, but I'll make it through without an EMT, and I made it to the finish line without an EMT. So I met my goal, not my fastest time, not my best race, but it happened. I had tissue expansions at the time. So fast forward about a year and a half later, I got some new girls. And then a few months after that, I got the 3D tattoos. So because on my radiator side, your skin is a little different when it heals. So a little thin, a little more sensitive. So we didn't want to have another major surgery on that side to reconstruct the nipple. So I decided to go with the 3D nipples. So that was also covered. 3D nipples, yeah. So they look like extra real. So I've done a lot. I've done a lot of things. Like the prosthetics are real. I have some prosthetics that are like Pink Perfect. Who made the prosthetic nipple. So like beyond real. So in the event that if I want to wear some lace and I want you to see, now I'm just playing. but if I did, I ready.
We do lingerie parties.
So if I did, the things was gonna be ready. I'm telling you, they sitting together. They look. So
speaking of that, then, so what does dating look like after all of this?
So let me tell you how I thought. I still have, I'm gonna have scars. I still have scars. I heal very well. I will say that my plastic surgeon said the same thing. He may have been flirting a little bit. Anyway, but
he want that. He want that. Wait, and did you see the tongue come out? Let me start
before that man. I'm sorry, Becky. Because that's his wife. I'm sorry. Okay. I just saw him the other week. I'm sorry. And he may be listening. That's my friend, my Facebook friend. So, but yeah, like I thought, it was just going to be awkward. Like, and I will say on a serious note, you go through phases where I feel like, oh, I'm sexy. Like, I'm back to being me. And then you have those days where you want to get dressed with not seeing yourself. So, that's something that as a survivor, regardless of how I look to everyone on the outside, I still deal with that on a daily basis. Some days I'm like, oh girl, you did, like you put together, and some days you just like, why? Like, you see that one scar, that one side view of a scar, and it's a trigger, and it all comes back. But for me, when I started dating, when I told a man, even if I didn't go, full details of my story, because at some point I have to say certain things, that's not something you just say, oh yeah, like that's a major part of my life,
of course.
And it's because of my advocacy work, you wonder why it's an important part for me to reach out to others, so it helps them understand like my priorities and the things that I have going on in my life as we start to get to know each other. But I thought it would be like, they would look at me like, oh, I can't deal with that. But most guys were like, well, damn. Like, that's hot. So they take them. So you got some news. So let me see. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, as a survivor, the breasts aren't sexual anymore. So, and you just kind of feel like it's a thing. Like these things been nipped and tucked and put on so many times. Like just make them look like cousins. They're not gonna be twins. Just make them look like cousins. But for the men, it wasn't. And I guess because of where I am now, like I'm done with the treatment, it wasn't a scary thing for them. Like for a man, it was like, well, like you're strong. Like that's attractive that I've been through something so that I can understand, like I can understand struggle. Like, it's almost a good thing that I haven't had everything handed to me like in life before breast cancer, even in my childhood. I was a project baby, so my birth certificate has address to a well-known community housing development in Jackson, Mississippi that no longer exists. But I understand the struggle, and I have a story to tell, and so men really appreciated that. So if before you even see, you understand that it's some struggle behind what you see. So it may not be pretty, but this is what it is.
So, but okay, so did you struggle to let them see though? I mean, after the dating.
So even because I was in a relationship, when all this started, so that was still a struggle. And I think you have to be comfortable enough. I didn't even feel like my ex at the time was ready. Was ready to see, like, there was intimacy, yes, like, I'm not, like, it went down like it went down before, but, I may have had a bralette on, like, I had to, I kept it sexy now, I wasn't, in a sports bra, we ain't savages.
They have come out with some pretty sports bras though.
But it wasn't what do they call it? The mastectomy bras, with the hooks in the front.
No,
like so, I wasn't sexy. Right, exactly. So but no, but so I felt like, and I will say he did struggle, and I think it was a hurt part for him. So because he was in denial of what I was going through for so long, like to see the scars was reality for him. So it was more of a hurt, like, and he felt like it was a guilt. Seeing those scars was, was a bit of guilt for him, and that was just for him. But then other people, other people have seen them. Not saying I'll be intimate with a whole bunch of folks, but other people have seen the blessings, and
so they've seen the blessings, they like the blessings.
They like the blessings, and it wasn't a big deal.
Okay. And so you like them liking the blessings, yes.
Right, and I will say now, don't get weird. like, you know, don't like obsess, like, you know,
Right.
like, don't get weird with them. But, you know, but they're normal, you know, with the exception I don't have a nipple, but I mean, it all function the same, you know, grab, nip, tuck, you know, but, you know.
All feels the same to you?
Yeah, like, don't get, and I will say, now they do. Because on October the 3rd, I had another reconstruction revision surgery, so.
Last
Couple weeks, October.
Oh,
so it was like 2 weeks before we saw each other at Dia's event. I had maybe 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks before a surgery then. So yeah.
So they feel fine now.
Yeah. So
normal now.
what we did was I was very lean. I was training when I was diagnosed, so I didn't have a lot of body fat. So typically they will, you know, kind of add some fat around your implants just to give them like a natural look and contour. And so we had to come back. So now we're talking 2 years later. I'm still having surgery. So 2 years after my first, you know, my first augmentation, which my first implant placement, I had another surgery, which was moving some fat from like my lower back and abdomen area up to my breast to give them more of a natural feel and natural look. So now, even though they look great before, to me they look even more natural. That like my skin and everything has settled. So now I like them even more. So some cleavage is coming to you. In the spring,
Yes,
okay,
come on with the cleavage.
So now the back is gonna be out. The cleavage is. Hey, I don't know how to act. I don't need no help and support because they stay where they put them. They stay right there where you put them.
Listen, man. Listen, man.
I got this
They usually all.
You better be glad I got this part.
So, are you dating somebody right now?
So right now, I am currently single. So we'll talk about how me and the ex broke up. Now let me tell you the tea. So I had to kind of bounce back. So we broke up. You know, you were all heartbroken about this ring that you didn't get a chance to give me. And true, I wasn't happy. So we're gonna preface it with the fact that I wasn't happy. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. But your new boo came real fast. Your new boo came with a lot that I didn't get. So leave that.
She got the ring.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, so, you know, I did the work as the therapist. I did
so
the
you
work.
went to therapy,
and I went to
this.
2 years later, and that was the one thing that from day one, I should have just went to talk to somebody and say, this is how I feel. I went in autopilot mode. I went to the point where I wasn't in the present anymore. Like, I wasn't enjoying anything. I was just grinding, and I was receiving no satisfaction out of anything that I was doing in my, you know, in my personal life, in my, you know, in my career. And so it just got to the point. I have friends in my life that, you know, that's, you know, they're therapists, and that's what they do. Of course, they couldn't see me, but I had a trusted friend that was like, you know, maybe it's time. So when they rolled me out from my bilateral mastectomy, that friend was there because she wanted to understand my mental state. So if she had to go speak to my doctor, she was there to do it. So it's important that you know, I had a village, and everyone had their place. And so she was a person that I met in undergrad, and you know, she's a psychologist, you know, by trade, but at that point she was a friend. And she was a therapist, but when they rolled me out that room, she was there because she understood me as a friend. I'm not gonna tell you, so I need to lay my eyes on you to see how you're taking this. But yes, I did. So she helped me find she helped me find a therapist. So I did the work, and when all this happened, it happened when I was in therapy, when I started to find out about this new person. So timing is everything. But I got to a healthy place where I released it. I wasn't happy. What my therapist helped me understand was I had to separate the failed relationship from the cancer, because I felt like cancer took my relationship. Cancer didn't take my relationship at all. So that relationship didn't have the foundation that it needed for where I was in my life and my journey that was in front of me. So I think if he couldn't handle this, that journey that came later, once it really hit me, once the treatment stopped and I had to slow down and get back to some sense of normalcy, as they say, like that's when the emotional battle started to kick in. So, you know, it all happens, you know, everything is orchestrated and it happens in divine order, and I believe that. But when I found out about the new relationship, you know, and the trips and the commitment that you gave to this person, and that was all that I wanted, to feel like I was being supported, I was in therapy, and I got to a point where, you know what, I had to release it. and it was a little messy for a while. You know, you get with that person that she want to see. She need to see this, and I know that was what was going on. Like, I ain't friends with you, girl. Why you my friend on Instagram? I don't know you. I'm like, why these pictures showing up in my timeline? I don't even know, you know. So a little bit of that going on, but I don't entertain drama at all. So shut it down. So shut it all the way down. So I did the work, and I basically kind of like I ended it, and I ended on a good note. I ended it acknowledging my fault, which I apologize for those times when I was ungrateful for the things that you offer. I didn't appreciate what you did try to do for me, and I left it in a place where you deserve love, period. And if this is where you are in your life, I don't feel like it was tastefully done, like I found out about it, but if this is where you are in your life, you deserve to experience this without distractions of us. So that was me, you know. I put on my work girl hat, you know. I put on my boss hat, and I had to I put on my boss, you know. You went a straight employee, you employee, so you deserve to experience.
Now, though?
Now I'm single because I found love after that relationship, and I found somebody that was very, very good to me, and still is good to me. And I have to learn how to accept it. So I have to be in a place where I can be, you know, I go through battles where I can be totally vulnerable, and then, nope, gotta put that cape back on, like that's too much. So that's what I struggle with. So that's the work that I do, but I have a person in my life that understands that. So, and I'm honest with myself at this point. So that first relationship, I let it go, and it just played out to the end, to everything kind of exploded internally. So, you know, that warfare that was in me exploded. But now I can openly say that I'm not comfortable, or I don't know, you know, I don't know how I need to love, you know, I need to love you. I know what I want, but I don't know how to love you. And so when you're with a person that's so willing, I had to be honest with myself and say, you know what, I'm not ready to give you what you want right now. And so that's how it ended. Like, there, you know, of course there's some things that I can say, there's some things that he did have to work on, but it wasn't what he had to work on, had nothing to do with loving me or me feeling loved. Like that was not our issue at all.
So you have the potential of getting back together?
So we have the potential of giving. There's open communications. I actually had their surgery that I had on October the 3rd. So my caretaker was that person in my life. So there's still, you know, we still have the relationship. We still have that intimacy, as far as not the physical intimacy, but we have that intimacy within our relationship, that we are open with each other. So honesty and transparency has always been there, and I think that's why, you know, we could truly be friends, and he could still be the support, and he understands that I need the support whether we have the relationship or not. His role in my life was to be the support, to be the cover, you know, to be the covering, because we both have that understanding and that background and foundation.
And let me rewind real quick too. So do you feel like sex has changed?
No.
See, I get mixed answers with that question with breast cancer.
Nope.
Because so many people have said, oh yeah, it kind of feels different, and now that...
No, and to keep in mind though, it's the treatment. So if you go through certain treatment, like, so, you know, chemotherapy comes with this, you know, with this side effect. So we could get real deep, and that's what Dr. Shepard can come and talk about, some of those things with, you know, like it may push you into menopause. So you have those issues that a lot of women that are going through menopause have. And one of those issues is vaginal dryness and a decreased libido. So I didn't have chemotherapy, so that I may not have experienced those things from that standpoint, but I experienced it from an emotional, you know, you don't have that libido when, you know, in those days I'm struggling with self-image, but I didn't have those physical challenges that women that are going through chemotherapy would have that would affect their sex life.
That's amazing, because and I thought about it too. Yes, every person that said no is chemotherapy, and you didn't have chemotherapy. That's awesome. There was something else that I was about to ask you, and I lost my whole. Oh, I know. You talked about infertility.
Tell us about that. See, I just zoomed right on over that part. So in between this bilateral mastectomy and radiation, radiation therapy, when I went for my consultation for my radiation oncologist, I had the best team. So they laid it all out. There was nothing that we didn't talk about. So my first talk about family planning came from my radiation oncologist that said, look, this is the treatment. Okay, we understand the treatment. Now, do you understand what this treatment means and how it's going to affect your life? You know, I was a 33-year-old, may have been 34, you know, the time is passing, but at that point, I wasn't married and I didn't have children, and I still had a desire to have children. And so we knew that I didn't want chemotherapy, but I still agreed to radiation. So that means that I have to make some decisions. So I decided to go through with so we did the egg harvesting procedure. So in my mind, I would say that it was a failed egg harvesting procedure. So at the end of all these crazy mornings of going to the doctor, you know, every other day, the injections, the expensive medication for that, I ended up only having one egg. So I have one egg that's frozen right now. So when the retrieval day, we took 2. I think I may have had 12. We dwindled down to 2, and 1 was viable, which means that 1 was, you know, worthy of keeping in the for future use. That same day that I had my egg harvesting procedure, I was scheduled to start radiation therapy. So I had a friend with me that was there at the outpatient procedure. I was, you know, totally fine. But again, my team, they messy. They sit on the porch together. By the time I made it to radiation, to my radiation oncologist, the doctor at Dallas IVF had already called him and said, look, this is what went down. So when I walked in, you know, Dr. Face, he had Dr. Face on, but I have a relationship. You know, I've been seeing these people for quite some time at this point, so they kind of understand. They understand their patients. So when I walked in, you know, I walked in like, okay, you know, I have my standing 11 o'clock appointment every day for the next 25 treatments. So he pulled me into the room. Hold on, I'm supposed to be getting dressed to go to the bed. So he pulled me into the room. Dr. Sarah told me about what happened. I feel like a little kid. I'm in school now. So she told me about what happened, and he said, well, we can postpone starting because I want to make sure that you're totally, you know, you understand what this means, that once you start this therapy, it's not to say that I can't have kids, you know, I can't conceive, but I had to take all that into consideration. Your breasts are considered a reproductive organ. People only think it's your, you know, it's your ovaries and it's your uterus. Your breast is considered a reproductive organ. So I was having radiation therapy to what they consider a reproductive organ. So at Dallas IVF, they offered to, you know, like, we'll do the procedure again. Offered to, you know, my services, we'll do it again for free. So we'll talk about why I said no, because I said no when I prayed on that situation. I got my answer, but statistics told me I need to move through with this treatment. So we'll tell you about how he gonna throw what I said. He told me, so then God said, I said what I said. So when I got to radiation therapy, he said, no, I'm gonna send you home because you're not at peace. You pray about it, and we'll hold your appointment to whenever you want to get back. So my doctors understood my faith, and he understood that I was spiritually uneasy, and he sent me home. A doctor told me to go home because I wasn't at peace, and I needed to pray about it. This man told me to pray. Totally not what he's supposed to do. But he sent me home and told me to pray about it because I wasn't at peace. He had been around me enough to understand that I wasn't at peace with what I was doing. And he sent me home, and he flat out told me, you pray about it. If you come back tomorrow, your appointment to be here. If you come back in 2 weeks, your appointment to be here. But you let me know when you're ready to start. He sent me home. I walked in and I walked back out. My friend said, what just happened? I said, I had to go. He told me to go home.
And I hate to cut you off because we just, oh, wow. Wow. We at 9 o'clock, y'all. Oh, my God.
And we didn't even get to, y'all got to hear the tea. Y'all got to hear about the lingerie.
That means that she's going to have to come back for a part 2. Okay?
I ain't talking about no lingerie or nothing.
Did she say
lingerie? I ain't talking about no lingerie.
So we're gonna talk off air about her coming back for part 2. Cause I mean, this story is just getting too good. But it's 9 o'clock, y'all. I got to go. So listen, next week, we are talking to a sex therapist. You know, I'm a sex coach, sex therapist. I'm actually getting another degree in sex therapy. Wow. You know, that'll be how many? That'll be the second in my. Okay, anyway. So she's talking about polygamy and polyamorous relationships. Ooh. Woo! So, tune in next week when we talk to Dr. Ruby Johnson. Bedroom Candy has 40% off of the kit purchases right now. If you have been trying to be a Bedroom Candy consultant, you can join my team for $59.60 this week, and that'll start you on the journey that I've been on for 4 years now. So, listen, I am so happy that you came by. Oh, tell the people how that they can reach you.
Yes, so you can reach me on Instagram. It's Pretty Fit Survivor all together. So you'll see my glamorous shot. You'll know it's me. I may have some curly hair. And then on Facebook, it's Nadia Smith, or you can Google like Nadia Dee Smith, but you should see that same portrait. So yeah, hit me up on Instagram. I'll check my DMs, and it's me when you respond. I ain't that important yet. I'm still checking my own.
I will make sure to post all of her information on one of these watch parties and on my wall. And you guys know how you can reach me. Everything is Candyology CS, or on YouTube it's Candyology Radio. But guys, I'm so grateful that you there we go. I am so grateful that you came by, you stopped by to listen to our talk today about love and breast cancer. And we, again, like I said, we gotta have a part 2 because she has so much more to the story. But thank you for watching. Pop-up shop is next in 2 weeks on December 15th. And this has been Candy J, wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a good day.